Leave meeting. No.
And deuces. It's been fun, guys.
Yeah, you guys missed it. We had an amazing podcast, and sorry. No, but hey, this is our installment. Hey, we I think we should call this series "Zooming with the Brothers," man. Since we're all
Zooming with the brothers.
Zooming with the brothers, you know.
Wait. Are we gonna stick with the Zoom platform? Because we might need this. We might have to switch this up one day.
No, maybe teams in with the brothers.
Teams up. See.
Yeah, Microsoft.
hey, we might all be on. We might all be in VR.
Unless we're sponsored.
So we need another name. So no Zoom.
It could be Zooming with the Brothers, man.
Zooming with the brothers sounds good. Zooming with the brothers.
Zoom is a verb now.
Let's go.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things that are verbs and nouns.
Here we go.
And other forms of grammar.
No, we're not changing the rules of English just to suit someone's feelings. We're not doing that tonight.
Yo, wasn't that Lizzo? No, I don't know. I don't know what that was.
Lizzo is
I really
not
don't know.
because she's a noun now. I mean, she's an adjective.
She's an adjective.
Oh, what does it mean?
How does that work?
Being Lizzo or something?
Like use that in a sentence.
Using Lizzo as a descriptor for various types of people.
Like, oh wow, they are really Lizzo.
Oh wow, really?
Is that how that goes? I don't know. I'm trying to learn something new right now.
Yeah, I didn't know about this either.
She had a whole rant
on this one.
She had a whole rant about
really?
it, and I'm just like, all right, whatever, bro. Nobody cares. Yeah, so it's been a while. We're all like here, Dapo's nursing his allergies. It's got to be something with his genetics, so we don't know. We let him slide on that one. Allergies and
We're making it happen, though. We're making it happen.
Yeah, so Eric and G are coming from Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
Dapo and I are in Houston.
And
we're missing
Archie's
one.
in space.
He's a ghost, even in the digital world. He's still a ghost. So we're trying to figure this out.
If Archie can never be an NFT because
Yo,
NFT is on the blockchain, so you can find them.
You read my
Archie,
mind.
you can't find him unless you go through other means of
Only way you're
can't-
gonna find Archie on the blockchain is if he drops an album on it. Or he drops an album as an NFT.
with an NFT as an album cover.
Yeah.
So, all right, PB. I need some gems.
So like what?
Yo, that's wild.
So fellas. Like
What's good?
Yes.
So what do we think? So how do we feel about the state of Kizomba in North America? Let's be fair. Like, yeah, North America, right? Or just the US.
Because we can only talk about us.
Yeah. I really don't care what happens in Europe because Texas, the state of Texas is just as big, just about. So it doesn't really matter.
Fair. I mean, facts and fair.
Just no, but how do we feel? Like, what's going on? I haven't traveled in years, so I can only see what I see on Facebook streets, but I'll be like
the question is, are we talking about Kizomba? Or are we talking about urban?
Let's talk about what we can.
Are we using those as one? Well, I mean, are we talking about those as tandem or as separate
if it
things?
wasn't for Kizomba, urban wouldn't exist.
I mean, are we talking about our ancestors or are we talking about us?
If it wasn't for our ancestors, we wouldn't exist.
True, but what's relevant right now?
Ancestral music is always relative.
Relative.
You don't
That's
don't,
good.
don't ever don't ever.
I don't knock.
Forsake your
Hey, wait,
ancestors.
let me be clear. I am not knocking the ancestors. Shout out to the ancestors. They are I love them. Okay. No issues with the ancestors. But in regards to this, Kizomba or urban, we use both. I mean, I would say Kizomba exists in moments and in certain spaces. However, it seems like in everything, it's had its time where it was burning hot like a fiery flame, and now it's just kind of coasting as an existing. Hold on. As an existing dance, just like salsa, bachata, and other forms that were hot at one point, and then other dances came along, burned like fire, and now it's just here in its mainly its local scenes and in a handful of less than a handful of major festivals, I would say. Now, urban, you know, that's I think it's kind of the same actually. I would say urban's kind of in the same space as Kizomba, where it was burning fiery hot, and now it's just kind of like the new hotness, the new chick on the block is the Zook, and people fall in love with it. So it is what it is. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's what it looks like so far for me. In certain areas, it's really popping right now. Like they continue consistently doing something. Teachers, classes, events, parties, stuff like that, weekenders. So it's still alive and it's thriving. You just gotta find out where it is and make it happen where you want to be at, or even where you're at. Just gotta step up.
So are you saying Kizomba has become more of a staple dance now?
Yes. Only in certain spaces, like major metropolitans.
Oh, okay. Eric, you have a lot to say.
I don't have a ton to say. What I will say is that I think COVID had an impact on Kizomba for sure. I think Kizomba also needs more new blood coming in to the scene. I think that's been a challenge. I think it's always been a challenge with Kizomba over the past, let's say, 4 or 5 years, but then COVID kind of made a big dent into that. I think it's, as Gerard said, it's more of a staple dance at the moment. It's not the fiery hot newness that it was 8, 7, 6 years ago. But it is still there. I think new blood coming into the scene is definitely needed to keep pumping it, to kind of refresh it a little bit. But it is still there. I mean, there are events happening in multiple cities, as Gerard said. The major cities, I believe, are having some events, especially on the East Coast. I would say it's more like it's more close knit, right? With the events usually are like not family oriented, but a lot of friends attend the events, or it'll be this similar people. If you have an event, kind of who's going to be coming, which is actually pretty good because it's more conversational rather than just focus on hardcore dancing like you're training. So that's been nice. But hopefully into 2020, I mean, hey, Sawa's happening in a couple of weeks. MBKF is happening in about a month and a half. Steel City's happening again. So, hopefully more larger events like that will start to help bring in new blood and start to kind of refresh Kizomba a little bit going into 2023.
What you think?
What do I think?
Bueller.
As a staple, I don't know if I agree. It's a staple now. I think it's to me it still feels like a French kind of dance in terms of there's only small circles that are engaged in Kizomba, even in those cities, right? So like it's still in every city, it's still like a stepchild to every other dance that is existing in that city. That's why I'm trying to think if it's a staple. But I think even with COVID, I think it gave Kizomba a new boost, whereby it's kind of like everybody everybody was having mixed events a lot of times, and now it's just like, now you're either gonna throw a Kizomba event and throw an urban event, you know, and it's not. We're not getting that saturation of mixed events anymore. But we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. Maybe it's just the effects of COVID, where people are just, you know, going with what they know, and they're sticking in their own lane in that kind of regards and their own crowd. But um, it's gotten fragmented in my own perspective. The circles are smaller. The you, you know, you see the same faces, like you even with all the events within a space of kids, or even with the space of urban kids, it's the same people you see over and over and over and over again in the same events that span the year. So like Eric touched upon, I think there needs to be new blood. um, but dance is cyclical, so we'll see what happens. That's how I see it.
Cool.
Now, Leon, what you think, man?
I don't know, bro. I can't call it. Can't call it. No, but I just see I still see the same thing. It's like I would say Kizomba itself still has its foundational base, and it's in major metropolitan areas where it's really appreciated, um, because you have a tendency to hear more instruments, so to say, not synthesized instruments, but also I think the ability to allow people to be performative has left Kizomba itself, and it only lives or is appreciated in urban. So based upon what a lot of people enjoy, what they like right now, and things like that, I definitely would probably say Kizomba's cool. Um, it's become a lot more BIPOC centered, and I think that has contributed to more of, I guess, being less. You can't bullshit as much. I'm gonna start some shit tonight. I think probably not, but no, it's more like because more people of color have gravitated towards Kizomba and Kompa, and then
And
urban,
it's kind
so
of
to
walled
say.
off the.
It's like, oh, it's not, if you can dance kind of thing. And you can't hide it. You really can't hide in Kizomba because it's simple. I didn't say easy, I said simple. It's simple. And I think that intimidates a lot of people. It's kind of weird, it's almost counterintuitive. Like the simpler something is, the harder it is for a lot of people. Then if something looks really super technical and it has a lot of flash, less people feel intimidated because they can hide in the noise, right? So I look at Kizomba as like a smoldering fire, and then I look at urban as like a flash in the pan. Right now, because it's the new hotness. Everybody's attracted. That's the bright thing everyone sees. Then you have that smoldering coals that are just giving off heat, but nobody really wants to be over there because it's not like, oh, look at me, I can be seen over here, over there. It's kind of like, it's just dark, but it's warm. So it's kind of like.
It's, but let's speak of urban. Is urban still the hotness right now? We're talking about America, US.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
Because
it's a very good question.
every urban party you go to, they play. I think, okay, part of it also is with the popularization of Afro beats, like Afro music, African music, whereby now it's like we've been playing all African music in Kizomba parties. Now urban has to play all this stuff in music because it's pop now. Because all this music is pop now. So even in urban parties, like for example, the amount of compa they play in urban parties now is like, okay, what happened to the whole urban EDM movement that you guys had going? You know, you frustrated me for so long with that shit, and then and then now you're playing compa. Okay, good. At least you're playing compa, so I could stay.
It's always interesting that compa is the universal dance
And
that
they
is
play
always agreed
compa in
upon.
Brazilian zouk. They play it in Brazilian zouk too. It's
They
like,
play
yeah,
compa at Bizouk events.
yes,
But they
yes.
don't dance compa though, right?
No, they don't dance compa.
Yeah, see that is so
I have a theory about
so
that, but it's gonna be interesting.
so that just lets you know that when it comes to not all, but probably most, or at least the majority of the Bizouk, a large portion, if that's what they're doing, they're not actually listening to music. They're not actually listening to music. Just it's just playing, and they're going. They're yeah, it's that's unfortunate. To listen to compa and not dance compa, but to dance Brazilian zouk. I'm not saying don't dance Brazilian zouk. Do whatever the heck you want to do, but that sounds like a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Oh well.
Lungs get shot every day, Pete. Like, what do you expect?
I mean, it's true.
I have a theory about that though. Is that
Go ahead.
people? I don't think people consider Kizomba a sexy dance anymore.
Wait. What?
Mm.
I don't think people, the vast majority, don't feel like Kizomba is a sexy dance anymore. So, in salsa, what do you see? It's sexualized. Bachata, overly sexualized, right? Um, even in urban, it's sexualized. Bizouk gives the aura or the illusion of sensuality. But if you have people like, oh, it's just Kizomba, or they're like, oh, it's traditional, they're like, it's not fun. Because for whatever reason, they don't feel they don't feel connected, or they don't feel like they have the ability to be sexy as much. That's my theory. I could be completely wrong.
So just to be clear, when you say the word connected, um, connected, right? They don't feel connected in the sexiness of the dance or the lack thereof. Are you saying, and when you say they, like who is they? Like, are you referring to men,
Let's keep it.
or are you referring to
That's a
women
great question.
who are predominantly the population in all these dances? Like who is they, and what kind of connection of the sexiness are they lacking? Is it what are you talking about before I get my own thoughts? Because it's kind
No,
of
it's like because with other dances, it looks sexy, right? So,
but are they actually sexy?
I don't know.
Well,
But if
they feel
Another great
sexy.
question.
But
They,
are
no,
they
no.
actually? Whoa, are they actually sexy in these
It's
so-called sexier dances?
it's relative, but they feel
oh,
sexy,
in the other
and
one,
the
So
hype is there.
relative.
True.
yeah,
This is true. There's no pushback on that. This is true.
But
It is relative, but let's take salsa for example, right? Imagine the sexiest Latin salsa dancer you can think of. Uh, if you got a name, don't name it. Just imagine that those people. And the question is, you see that and you want to be that, but can you be that? And that's a no, because they figured out some kind of way to monetize whatever the heck that is. And you can't make that happen for yourself unless you're getting the results that you desire. So the results vary patron to patron. Men, women, newer dancers, older dancers. Either way it goes, like once you get past the idea of I'm here for the sexiness and just be there for the dance, you're typically more fulfilled because the sexiness comes and goes. You're never just consistently sexy. That's not a thing that I've ever noticed for the average human, or even the non-average, like the exceptions to the rule. No. So I'm just saying, this connection of sexiness, they're just there in the hopes of possibly getting that goal of connection fulfilled one day, so that they do not have to hopefully be in that dance again. I mean, that's what it sounds like. I don't know
What?
whoever caught that, but don't worry about it. I think Eric caught that one. Don't worry about that. Gonna keep on going. Mute my mic.
Oh man. Yeah, I caught that. Okay. Let me think about this. I think I see where Leon was going with that, about Kizomba not being considered a sexy dance anymore like it used to be. I would tend to agree with that. I think I can't speak about Bizouk necessarily, and I know Leon mentioned about some sexualization in salsa. I know Doppel mentioned that a couple of years ago as well. I don't dance salsa enough, but I've seen some videos, some clips, some imagery. But I think with I want to say that, like, the sensual bachata, or the definition of sensual bachata, or the rise of sensual bachata, probably came, and Dapo, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I think it did it come around in the US? Did it come around the Kizomba time period for us?
No, earlier.
It came earlier. I just don't remember hearing about it much.
No. It's been sensual bachata is really old.
But I mean, like, when you talk about sensual bachata events.
Yes, the bachata, Jorge Alonso started that stuff first. Like Jorge and Rodney, they used to throw events back in. Those were all sensual events.
Okay. Did I go to one of Rodney's event? I don't remember sensual bachata being at his event. But regardless of the fact, I know when I was into bachata.
You remember there was a lot of fusion. There's a lot of bachata fusion. Maybe I'm mixing it. So there was a lot of bachata fusion. Remember, there used to be modern bachata, and there used to be like tango bachata.
Yeah, tango. But bachata tango. When my man tried to bring that junk out. But even at the time period when I heard about bachata tango, was the same weekend that they started teaching Kizomba at Jorge's bachata event. I mean, I do believe sensual bachata was in existence around that time period. I don't know how big it was in the US, like the terminology, but regardless of the fact, I feel like sensual bachata right now is a large deal. It's a big deal, right?
Yes.
It's like sensual bachata. I don't remember anyone ever asking me to play sensual bachata.
I can go as far as, like, is driving Congress attendance.
Yeah, exactly, right. Which I don't remember that being the name that was, or the type of dance, sensual bachata, driving attendance back in the day. But I do believe there is a gravity to sensuality of dances, whether or not people want to say, or the sexuality, however you want to say it, the sexuality of dances, whether they want to say it's true or not true. And I do think that some of Kizomba, that sexuality has been reduced. Definitely. And I think that sensual bachata and other dances, I can't speak to urban necessarily. I can't say that in urban.
Okay, I have a theory. I'm going to say it too. Do we think because Kizomba, and I think I understand where Leon is going. I think where we say, Kizomba is no longer sexualized because there are not that many white people dancing it anymore.
Yes, I wasn't going there with that. That's what I was saying. But you just drew a straight line to Leon's thoughts for me.
I was being polite
because it's like but just yeah,
Yeah, it went over my head,
it's
but now I see where you were going with it completely with
Time
Dapo
out.
yeah, because
Time
it's
out.
illustrating that for me.
Time out. I just want to be clear. When Dapple, keep your mic on.
uh-huh.
When you say white people, you mean white people?
We're not
Or
talking about those that blackfish.
what? Wait, wait. What are you talking about?
That was a new term for me. I
What are
didn't know
you
he was going.
talking about?
There's blackfishing too, but just in general.
I don't know what that is. No.
Me
Okay.
either.
Wait.
Okay.
Gerard left Houston
You've
and missed
seen
the
it.
old new terminology
You've seen it.
because I don't know either.
I'll come back to that. I don't know what that is. I learned something new today. Again, no, you said white people. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, the white population in Kizomba has never ever had any form or significance of majority or minority of or microscopic numbers in white men. So you just mean white women. You can say it. It's okay. You can say it.
Pretty much, yes.
Oh, okay, all right. I was just curious. I was just curious in regards to it. Do you think that? Now wait a minute. Are we saying that the sectionists, when it comes to Kizomba, was? I can't agree with that. If we're saying that the sectionists are implying that the sectionists, when it comes to Kizomba, are the overly sectionists, was due to having a portion of the population in the dance community being white people, white women, whatever.
No,
Versus
when I say sexiness, it doesn't necessarily mean
Okay.
sexual, right? It's just another word for being like attention getting and borderline dangerous. It's like you're doing it's like a lot of those along those lines of some people who just like, oh, they do music videos or they do TikToks in Africa because they can get clout for being there, but they're really not there.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. A lot of white women, like you said, a lot of white women got clout because they danced Kizomba.
a lot of them ain't got. Wait, repeat that sentence.
A lot of white women in the dance scene got clout because they danced Kizomba.
Okay.
Right? Now that has shifted. They're not getting as much clout as before compared to other new dances that are popping up. Like
I don't necessarily think it's clout. I just don't think they're being chosen.
Penis.
No. We're not getting. They're not getting chosen as preferred dance partners anymore.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
So when preferences change, money changes as well, right? So people are buying tickets for what? Are they buying tickets for Kizomba events? Who's the majority? The majority of people who buy dance classes are whom? Right? Which demographic?
Women, Black.
And then what are they buying? And I think what are they buying is based upon their perceived sexiness. Like, well, I want to do this because I want to. I can't speak for women. I want to preface that now. But I've heard some say when they dance, they want to feel empowered. They want to feel free. They want to feel like they can move and do whatever. What dance gives that to them now? Zouk, right? Brazilian Zouk.
Yes.
It fills that starseed need to be one connected with the universe, right? So
his name is Universe? Never mind. Continue. I'm listening. This is great.
So and so I mean, but for a while before Brazilian Zouk was as popular as it is now in the US, Kizomba allowed people to feel that more like a more connection to music, right? They were able to feel, a lot of people were able to feel, oh, I'm doing something with someone who's perceived dangerous, but I'm in a safe environment, right? Kizomba was almost taboo for a while. They're like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be grinding. I'm not gonna be that close with anybody. And those people who did it are like, oh, look at me, see, I can do this, da, 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 da. Right. So it was along that perceived danger line, but also known as being safe. And people, and like most of the people who would pay for dance lessons or pay or patronize Kizomba events were mostly white liberals. So I'm going to
Oh man.
But if I'm wrong, please step in and say, I don't think that's accurate.
I mean, I would say the whole community is liberal. That's what I would say. I would say that first. At least 90, 95, 99%, 90%, 90, without taking the polls. Unless somebody else has a different opinion about what that might look like.
Because over the last couple of years, a lot of people have gotten quiet and have fallen off the dance scene who were perceived as liberal because they were perceived as liberal, but their true colors were shown in light of certain events to out liberal each other.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead, Eric. I heard you. I saw you.
Go ahead,
Eric has something on his mind.
Well, no,
ahead,
but I
no.
was thinking that happened in multiple events, right? I mean, that definitely happened in bachata as well.
It's part of like it's part of the curve with dance though.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be like, oh, it's going this, and certain things happen, and other people were like, well, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be associated with that. So they find something else. But you will always have that core that still participate, who still, I would say, did it for the right reasons or learned for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Those in it for the dance are still in it.
Yeah.
Right?
And nothing's gonna kill that love for dance that they have. Because they'll, even some that used to come out to our stuff every now and then, they don't come out, as they hardly ever come out, but every now and then you'll see them still liking Kizomba posts or urban posts and things like that. They'll still, even on Instagram, they might share something because so the love is still there. It's not, it was a lot of the messiness that's happened pre-COVID. And then COVID isolated everybody.
It's funny.
So they're like, I'm cool without it.
We always have to add that COVID caveat to everything, because that is what's it called? That's a factor.
It was a stress tester, right?
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think though what Doppel said, what do we use? It wasn't commonplace. What did we say? Kizomba is, what did you say, Leon? Kizomba is,
You say it was a core dance?
commonplace. No, you said it was something else, and Doppel disagreed slightly.
Because like it's what's the word?
Yeah, I forgot the word he used.
I don't remember.
Um,
Core?
Yeah, I don't recall. But
No.
Doppel disagreed necessarily, and I see where Doppel was going with that too, because staple, I think was what we said. Maybe.
Yeah, staple. That was it.
So I think it's more of, so I agree with the word staple, but I think it's more of a staple as it's an expectation now of an event should have Kizomba. So like if you go to like an Afro-Latin event, or you expect them to have a Kizomba room, or if you go to a major city, you expect that you could probably find a Kizomba teacher or a Kizomba party. It's no longer a situation where you have to explain to somebody what Kizomba is and how come you guys don't have any Kizomba events or parties in your area, right? I think I consider that to be more of a staple. Like it's always an expectation that there will be Kizomba in a major city in some fashion. Um, that's kind of how I see it as a staple. I don't know if it's necessarily a staple in terms of everyone wants to dance it, or everyone is interested to some means of dancing it, right? I think you can still play Kizomba at an Afro Latin party and still have a lot of people not wanting to dance Kizomba or sitting down. But I think it's more of a staple is that everyone in the dance scene knows Kizomba now. I think it's still in somewhat the bastard child, right, of large events that are not Kizomba events. But I think at this point, I'm kind of okay with that. I'd rather you not have a Kizomba room or a Kizomba closet at your Afro Latin event. Like just don't even do it. Like don't do me no favors by giving me a closet. So or giving me people that's gonna break my neck dancing with them all night because they want to do the camel walk on my neck. So, anyways,
That's tough.
that's
I
I think it's a
forgot
staple in
about
terms
that.
of the awareness, but I still think it's a bastard child when it comes to the dances within the dancing. I think salsa, bachata are king, and Kizoma kind of needs to keep doing its own events.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to
Go ahead,
I
Dapo.
want to circle back to what I meant. I want to also circle back to what I meant when I even put the where I put the racial connotation with what is happening, because I also think a lot of it has to do with because even when I started dance kizomba, it wasn't an African person that taught me how to dance kizomba. You know what I mean? Like it was someone from Europe teaching an African dance, right? Like not having that even available. I think that made it that was what everybody was gravitating to in the dancing, because many people were, not people of color in necessarily. So they gravitated to that because that means I can do it, right? Well, anytime they see a person of color doing something, they just have this barrier. They just have this barrier, like, oh, it's not accessible. Like, there's no way I can do what that person is doing. So I'm too intimidated to do. I think women are much more courageous when it comes to dance, but when it comes to men in general, especially white men, they don't. It's like, I'm not open to it if I don't see someone else like me doing it.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that, Dapo, in terms of the seeing someone that looks like you being able to do something gives you the I don't know if it's going to call it courage, but you feel the ability that you can do it as well, right?
Yeah,
And if it's someone different,
representation.
then you kind of have this roadblock. Yeah, I think that's across the board. you know, um, I think it's across the board because I give you an example. I mean, if you look at, let's take dancing Afro beats, right? Uh, if you see Afrobeats videos, they may get some shares of individuals, not necessarily professionals, but individuals dancing Afrobeats, let's say from Africa, right? Or Nigerian, or just black in skin color. They get some shares, people like it, looks good. But if you see a white person doing it with them and doing it very well, like people are amazed by it, right? Because it's almost like you expect that the black person will be able to do it, either they grew up with it, whatever it is, and then you see the white person doing it, and you have this next level of being impressed because you don't see them as that's their culture. You don't see that in them, right? So it's a difference. So I think it kind of goes both ways. I think everyone, like Leon said, I think we're all conditioned in a certain way where, you know, what you see, you relate to. And if someone that looks like you can relate to it. If someone doesn't look like you, it's a little bit harder, or you have this small little impediment, maybe small or large, that you have to overcome, right? To relate to it easier.
Yeah, I'm with that. It kind of switched gears a little bit because a lot of things have popped off over time. And do you guys think hookup culture in the dance scene has been detrimental to Kizomba?
Is that Gerard unmuted his mic real quick?
You did too. You pushed the button first.
I really did.
It was like Eric.
I really did. So just to your question, do I think that the hookup culture has been detrimental to the dancing or Kizomba?
Could it have been part of the reason why
The Kizomba dancing.
could it, yes.
No.
I think that inherently, I would say no, right? But because it's not necessarily what I want the scene to be. You know, I know starting out Kizomba in Houston, I did a big effort to like not make Kizomba seem like it was a hookup culture, because a lot of people in the salsa community, they saw Kizomba as a hookup culture just because whatever, right?
Projection.
Because that was the salsa.
projection.
That was the salsa.
That was the salsa, exactly. I didn't want to say it, but yes, it's true, and I think it still is to some point. But it's kind of because it's more of a staple that's kind of been back down, and now you have sensual bachata being huge, where you know the idea is the guy's hand to be all over the woman, whatever it is.
Also projection.
Woman for say what?
Let's be clear.
Also their projection.
Wait, I need you to say the other half of that,
happens,
Eric.
That happens in urban too, doesn't it?
Eric, can you say the other
Yeah,
half
I
of
was
that?
going to say. So let me back up. So Doppel did say something pretty interesting. That is the projection of the community, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But also said that, you know, the man's hands all over the woman and the woman's hands all over the man.
There we go. Yeah. Okay.
Big time.
And
it's funny how that kind of gets overlooked. Like people just overlook that aspect of it when it comes to the sensual bachata scene. They just don't see that as a like women's hands over the men. No, that doesn't exist there. Whatever.
Well, you know, men don't actually feel pain or anything. We don't have feelings. Like we barely have voices. All we do is rule shit, but we don't actually control nothing. I'm sorry, you were saying, because apparently, allegedly, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Speaking about control.
Oh God, don't. Can we end on this?
No, Dapo. No.
We don't run from adversity.
I'm not saying run.
This is America. These colors don't run.
We haven't even finished the topic we're discussing. Like we're not.
Have we ever finished the topic? Name one
That's
topic that we ever.
No, we have finished a few
most of them
topics before.
Take that back. Most of them.
Well, I mean,
like 3.
So look, I mean, if we want to circle back to the main topic, I'll go ahead and say like,
wait, where were you going? The last thing you left off with was the women putting their hands on men.
Yeah, I mean, we can save that. I think we should save that for another day.
Oh,
because no, it's a good. It's,
okay.
I think we can have our own. We should
Fair
have our own specific podcast dedicated to
men's issues.
I think it's good. Yeah, I mean, you might have said it'd be kind of funny, but I think we should have something.
No, I mean,
like
I wasn't joking.
Especially men's issues in the dance.
In the dance scene. That's what I meant. Let me be clear.
In
men's issues in the dance scene, like specifically.
Yeah.
Next time.
2022 edition.
Oh yeah, we're gonna definitely need Archie for that. I need him to come out that spacecraft.
I know. Dance issues in the dance scene. We gotta speak on that one.
Because there was one of the topics that was suggested. Definitely. I don't know if you guys have seen it in the chat, but those with being accused of behavior or some alleged behavior being allowed back into the dance scene.
Oh.
So I think that was one of the things that was, I think what was detrimental to a lot of people in the scene right before COVID, it was a lot of accusations being levied publicly, and that in that itself is a deterrent for people, for new blood coming in, right? Like if you're trying to learn about, you like, oh, I like Kizomba, then all of a sudden you see this happening, this, you're like, what the heck is this? Not saying things shouldn't be aired out, that need to be aired out. It's more like,
Yeah.
after that, since a lot of that damage has been done and it's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, and some people have just disappeared off the scene altogether, right? But how do we repair that damage, or do we even deal with it and just let it be where it was?
All right, let me, not because you continued on. I mean, I don't know if you're ending the podcast on a question, but because you asked a question. So to just to circle back really quick to your previous question about have these type of issues been damaging to the scene? Like I said, internally, I wanted to say yes. You know, the over the sexualization, let's say, of Kizomba, or the hookup culture is what you said. Hookup culture hasn't been damaging to the scene. Internally, I want to say yes, but at the same time, sometimes, as they say, bad publicity is good publicity. And I'm talking about hookup culture. I'm not talking about the other more serious issues, right? You know, the salsa people thinking about Kizomba as a hookup culture, I mean, they still had Kizomba as a room at their salsa events, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, you know, that type of say using hookup culture, I think the people in the dance scene that don't dance Kizomba, they want the hookup culture, right? So it may be an avenue for them to try a new dance because that's what they're interested in. Now in 2022, or I guess starting in, I don't know, a couple years ago, hookup culture was a thing. That was like the thing, not outside of the dance scene. People were making it so casual that that was a thing to do. So in a way, it's seen as negative, but there possibly could have been some positive publicity for Kizomba by having that as a hookup culture type dance, even though I didn't consider it that. I don't think none of us considered it that. But people who didn't dance Kizomba at the time considered that and tried to join it because they were interested. Hey, you know, more power to them. I think the other serious things outside of just casually consensual hooking up definitely, you know, their definitely deserve to be addressed, right? I think when you say about should we be addressing it, how should we handle it, the more serious items, it's tough, right? Because they're very unfortunate. Whether it's just an accusation, that's unfortunate. Whether things actually do happen, that's unfortunate as well, right? So it's a difficult situation because you don't know. You can't. I mean, none of us are in the legal court. None of us are jury or judge or executioner. So it's real tough. I think that there is ways to address it. I think there's been attempts to address it. And I don't mean addressing by calling someone guilty or, you know, trying to call somebody out specifically. I don't, you know, there's places for that. But I think there are other avenues that we could take or we have taken to address these issues and try to address them going forward in the future as well. So I think there is some accountability there to address the topics because they are real, right? Things happen like that in everyday life, not just in the dance world and not just in Kizomba. But I think that the one thing that was different for me when it came to those items was that in the Kizomba world, it was more vocalized than it was in other dancings. And that to me was also very interesting. And I'm not saying it was bad, people were vocalizing it. I'm just saying that I know these things, same accusations happen in other dance scenes where you didn't see them publicly being aired out as much as it was in Kizomba. Not saying it's wrong,
Do you
Not
think
saying
there
it was
may?
good. I'm just saying that's just the evidence, the black and white of it. And I felt that I was at that sometimes intrigued me to understand the psychological, the psychology, how what allowed people to feel more comfortable in the dance scene to talk about it and vocalize it compared to other dance scenes.
Well, let's look at who. I want to ask this question and just kind of just. Do you think it's because of the people who are being accused? And what that demographic was versus what you see in other
That's a
dance scenes?
very good question.
Okay, before we wait. Before we go down this rabbit hole, are we about to make a brand new podcast? Because it's about to be a brand new podcast.
Yeah.
So be clear, because we haven't actually, sat down and made it a whole.
Yeah, let's talk about before we do that.
Tangents is what we do.
Let's talk about the new direction of the podcast. Like, what do you guys feel like we should just take with this direction podcast? Like kind of like a barbershop talk and just like talk about different issues? Should it be just kind of chill, just like zooming with the homies, nothing like super crazy trying to solve the world's problems, or just like what do you guys feel?
Conversation with the homies in the barbershop. And in the barbershop, we solve the world's problems. Yeah. Typically in the barbershop, either we solve the world's problems or we solve our each other's problems. We talk about problems. Yeah. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like in the barbershop, if it's barbershop talk, then like pre-COVID barbershop talk or like pre-appointment barbershop talk. You're like back in the cut when you had to be there for 3 hours and waiting. Yeah. Right? You had to put your name on the list and you just sitting down. I don't want those days to come back, but we can talk about it.
His name is Clay. I don't call him Clay.
but no, like, but this, in my opinion, I would say that we address everything when it comes to dancing, comes to life, comes to whatever. There should be no limits for us.
Agreed. I think we should do it I think we should do the same thing. I mean, we shouldn't feel concerned to be candid in our discussions or things we shouldn't want to necessarily address. I'm open for it. I think we should try to keep it surrounded by a topic so we can make it as an episode volume. People know what the topic is, like we did before. But yeah, I'm with Gerard on this one.
Double, what say you?
I heard it.
All right,
cool. Well, I'm gonna start this recording and we can start a new topic if you guys want.
I think we should, because that one's gonna go